Hey guys, welcome back to my CCNA 20301 course. Patrice is here, and in this video we are going to review basic configuration commands. Are you ready? Let's get started. Practice makes perfect. This is the damn right quote. You have heard it millions of times. But how we can practice our Cisco lessons? Basically, we have two options: using real devices and using emulators and simulators. Using real devices is subjected to cost in terms of devices themselves as well as energy costs. There are lots of emulators and simulators applications that we can use. From my point of view, the most famous ones without any priority are EveNG, GNS3, Cisco Packet Tracer, and Boson NetSIM. GNS3 and EveNG are emulators, and the next two are simulators. But what is the difference between these two? With emulators, you run a real Cisco operating system, and you can practice almost everything. However, in simulators, you just have the features that are incorporated into the application. The good thing about emulators is you are not restricted to Cisco products only, and you can emulate many other vendors' products as well. For more information, you can go to www.gns3.com or www.eve-ng.net. GNS3 is my favorite, and I'll be using it throughout this course, except for some topics, which we will talk about them at the right time. There are lots of GNS3 videos and courses out there, so if you are not familiar with GNS3 and how you can emulate Cisco devices with it, you can use them. Alright, let's start with our first configuration command. The hostname is simply your device name. It is better to have a descriptive name. Normally, by default, the hostname of a device is the device type. For example, the hostname for a router is router, for a switch is switch, and for a firewall is firewall. Since I'm using an IOU image in GNS3, my device hostname is IOU1. To change the hostname of a device, we have to go to the global configuration mode first. So I type configure terminal. Then I use hostname command to set my desired hostname. For example, AUS-SID-RTR01 for our first router in Sydney, Australia. As I mentioned before, when you want to go to privileged exec mode from user mode, you simply type enable and boom, you're there. But it is not secure. To have another layer of security in our device management access, we can set an enable password. To set the enable password, we have to go to global configuration mode first, and then we type enable. And as you can see, we have two options here with the same function: enable password and enable secret. However, iOS does not allow you to set the same password for both of them. You can test it. This is your first homework. So let's set them differently and see what would happen. I set enable password as Cisco123 and enable secret as Cisco123 with capital C. Now if I go back to user mode and type enable, you'll see iOS prompts me to put a password. When you set both enable password and enable secret has precedence. So if you type Cisco123 with lowercase c here, you'll see the prompt asks you to put the password again, which means the provided password is not correct. This is your next homework to test. Now if I run show running config command, which shows us our running config contents, you'll see the difference of these two commands. Enable secret is stored as an encrypted password. That number 5 means this password is hashed via MD5 algorithm. However, Cisco stores it through a salted hash version, so it cannot be cracked via dictionary attacks. But as you can see, enable password is stored in clear text, which is not secure. We can make this clear text password presentation a bit more secure through service password encryption command in global configuration mode. Now if I run show running config command again, you'll see the password is a bit more secure. This encryption algorithm is Cisco invented and it is too old and unfortunately easy crackable. If I copy this string and put it on a website like this, you can see it gives us the right password. So I strongly recommend you using enable secret to set your enable authentication. Before we can jump on the next command, we have to know how we can refer to different Cisco interfaces when we need them. The general rule of thumb to refer to an interface is interface and then type number. This happens in global configuration mode. Type refers to the type of the interface, which can be Ethernet, fast Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet, serial, and VLAN, etc. Depends on the platform you're working with. And the number could be something like 0, 0/0, 1/0/1. Obviously, no one can memorize different available types and numbers of all Cisco products. And also, some of the platforms are modular and there might be an installed module or not. To figure out what are the available interfaces on a Cisco product, we can simply type show interfaces status. This gives us a brief view of all available interfaces. Alternatively, we can run show running config and scroll down to reach interfaces section. There is a trick to reach out interface section faster, but I can't tell it now. Now we want to set an IP address on an interface on this device. I selected interface Ethernet 0/0. So I go to global configuration mode and select my interface. Since I'm using a multi-layer switch image on GNS3 here, I need to run no switchboard command to be able to set an IP address on this interface and actually put this interface into layer 3 mode. In general, no will negate all Cisco commands. So whenever you need to revert a command you ran before, you should run it again with a no in front of it. And then I type IP address and the IP address, for example 192.168.1.1, and then the subnet mask, for example 255.255.255.0. Almost in all Cisco platforms, layer 3 interfaces are in shutdown mode, which means they are off. So to turn them back on, we run no shutdown command, and this will bring the interface up if there is no any issues in connectivity, obviously. This was the manual mode of IP setting. We can get the device to obtain its IP address from a DHCP server as well, although it is not ideal. To set the IP address through DHCP, we simply say IP address DHCP on the interface configuration mode. I connected this device to a DHCP server and I expect to see something here. In the backend, I changed the interface Ethernet 0/1 to manual IP address, and so we can see both situations. To verify our configured IP address, I would suggest two commands. First, show IP interface brief, which shows us all available interfaces and their IP settings. As you can see, interface Ethernet 0/0 is in DHCP mode and it obtained 192.168.1.1 from the DHCP server. And interface Ethernet 0/1 is in manual mode and it has 192.168.2.2 as the IP address. The other option is using show interface and the desired interface, for example Ethernet 0/0. And within the output, you should look for internet address. And there you go. The CCNA topic we have covered in this video is 1.6. Configure and verify IPv4 addressing and subnetting. I wish you enjoyed this video and see you in next videos. Thanks for watching.